What's up? What is up? What is up, chat? What's up, FightHype family? Boxing fans around the world. Here on this Thursday. Yes, Thursday here at noon from the Las Vegas high-tech headquarters of FightHype.com. It is your boy, it's your man, Sean Zittel, holding it down with another live. I read the chat over here, so give me a moment here. Okay, cool. But fresh off a long 17-hour day yesterday. Had to leave for LA 5 in the morning. Long traffic getting into Beverly Hills, where the Beverly Hilton hosted day 2 of the Canelo Charlo presser. Then got back home to Vegas around 9:30. Had to pull over, take a little hour-long nap in between all that driving to and from LA yesterday. So got home, did a quick video with my guy Alan Dawson after the presser, but really chewed on things more on the drive home. Bumped my music, thought about what took place that day, tried to pull from day 2 of the LA presser of Canelo and Charlo. So let me say what's going up. Let me say what's up to some of the people already in the chat. We already got about 200 people in here. Blind Faith, thank you, brother, says, salute Sean, one of the best boxing minds in media. I appreciate that. Thank you, Blind Faith. Young One says, this is going to be a beating. Julian Garcia, I will get to you on that later, my brother. Thank you for the question. King David says, I think Canelo will beat Charlo. DMA Channel says, go Charlo. Blind Faith, referencing Alicia Bumgarner, says, say it ain't so. Alicia Bumgarner popped for PEDs a couple days ago. We'll touch on that a little bit later on as well. Jose V saying Charlo will be the bigger guy. Boxing analyst, what's going on, boxing analyst? Sean, when Charlo gets hit for the first time to the body by a real 168-pounder, he's going to puke his dinner. We shall see. Dane Sampson, what's going on, Dane? Eugene Caleb says Charlo looks bigger than Canelo. And my man, Team Batman Boxing, salute to you too, my brother. So, without further ado, let's get started with the people we got here in the chat today. What's up, Bronco Kid? What's up, Electro? What's up, everybody? Appreciating the love this afternoon. Fresh off that presser. So let's take a look here. Got some notes to go over. As always, we do our little gimmick of 3 things we learned. We think it has a nice ring to it. 3 is the magic number. Ask De La Soul. Rest in peace to Dave. But so quickly, these 3 things that we got, and of course, I got a lot of some other notes about some early notes heading into fight night about Charlo and Canelo. You know, we do several of these lives, especially after we see them work out on media day, and I tend to attend both fighters' media day, and then we do a tape study. But early takeaways. So Canelo feels rejuvenated. Is he, though? I mean, he said all the right things. Canelo said all the right things. He explained that his injuries in camp to his hands, to his knees, he wasn't able to push it in camp, wasn't able to get, in his own words, the rounds in with Eddie Reynoso that he typically is able to do. Wasn't able to push it, and Canelo said all the right things. He's admitted he hasn't looked at his best his last couple fights, and he has his reasons why. Not so much excuses, but his reasons why. Injuries have limited his ability to push himself in these training camps, and that's probably part of why Canelo's never had the greatest stamina, but he solved a lot of those problems in the Gennady Golovkin rematch, and now they've started to show up since the Bivol fight again a little bit. His ability to push the pace, he's getting back to some of his flaws he had earlier in his career, where the stamina's not as good as it was from the Golovkin rematch onwards through Caleb Plant. So he said all the right things, you know. I know I haven't been as sharp the last couple fights. I have my reasons why. Injuries have not allowed me to push it in training, to get the rounds in on the mitts, for example, with Reynoso, to get the conditioning right. But is he, though? You know, you do get to a certain point in a fighter's career after a certain number of fights, after a certain number of years, where there is no turning back the dial. But great fighters, really great fighters, like Roberto Duran, Muhammad Ali, Chocolatito Gonzalez, Sugar Shane Mosley, just to name a few, Evander Holyfield, you know, big time. They were always able to go back to the well. They would lose a fight. You know, Chocolatito got knocked out by Soren Visai, and you kind of start to write him off a little bit, but then he goes back to the well. In their 30s, he finds a way to beat Galal Yafai, or not Galal Yafai, he beats Yafai for the WBA. Then he beats up Julio Cesar Martinez, an excellent champion, you know, in his own right. And he gets back to vintage form. Duran He gets beat by Benitez. He gets knocked out by Hearns in 2 rounds. And Canelo's not even taking L's like that. But Duran takes a couple L's. But then he turns back the clock against Iran Barkley. He turns back the clock against Davey Moore. Nonito Donaire, he's done. He gets beat by Jesse Magdaleno. Nicholas Walters knocks him out. But he goes back to the well. He finds a way to turn back the clock. So I do sense that Canelo will be able to do that. He will be rejuvenated because he is a great fighter like those fighters I mentioned. Holyfield did it a million times. But until he proves otherwise, he's the fighter that he's been in his last 3 fights. So we'll see. Point number 2. Charlo isn't quite the same Charlo we're used to. And I don't know yet how much of a good or a bad thing that is. And what I mean by that is Charlo hasn't been, it's Mr. Shut Your Mouth and all, you know, and all that. Remember, the guy used to wear the shirts. It's Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth. Right, Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth. And I know that was in reference to Erickson Lubin, who was running his mouth. But, you know, we all know Jermell Charlo has carried a certain boisterous energy for the last decade. And I love it, personally. I love covering it. It's fun to cover. As a media guy, it gives you great quotes. I want you to be honest. I want you to be real. So I've never been of the opinion, oh, look at Jermell, he's being so loud and disrespectful. Jermell Charlo we've seen. And Jermell Charlo has matured since the Tony Harrison fights. I think Jermell having to withstand a year of one of the all-time verbal assaults leading up to a fight from Harrison. Harrison had got to pull out of the fight because of a supposed injury that he wound up mocking him and saying, I wasn't even really injured, I was just fucking with you. And Charlo having to let that man, you know, berate him for a year, having to wait to fight for a rematch in a fight he originally thought, I think it did something to him mentally to make him stronger. So he's been more mature since the Tony Harrison rematch that he won by knockout, but he's still Mr. Keep Running Your Mouth. In the MAGA Mel, right? Some people joke, joke that he's MAGA Mel. He bringing the USA flag out on Castano, talking about we drop nuclear bombs and, you know, talking big shit to Brian Castano. But so far, we've had a very mature and very respectful and a very focused, I think, Jermell Charlo. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that you're at your most mature and focused for the biggest moment of your life, right? And that you've grown, you know, I can appreciate that. But I remember Andre Ward, and you know, off the record, I kind of talked to Ward about this, and anyways, it had nothing to do with Ward. But I used to think about what Ward would say about talking out of guys acting out of character. And again, just to because I brought up that I talked with Ward. Ward did not give any opinion about Charlo Canelo, but I remember Andre would talk about guys acting out of character leading into a fight, and that's something that would worry him sometimes. And Charlo, you could maybe say, is acting a little out of character. So, I don't know if that's a good thing. Part of me wonders if he's got a little bit of Sonny Corleone going on in Godfather when the Turk, after he's tried to kill Sonny's dad, Don Corleone, he calls him, he goes, Sonny, don't lose that famous temper of yours. And Sonny just kind of keeps his cool and goes, no, I'll wait. I'll wait to lose that favor. I wonder if that's what Charlo's doing. No, I'll wait until weigh-in time, final press conference, fight night, Vegas, to let the lion out. And because Terrence Crawford did that with Spence. Crawford was kind of low-key, although Crawford never showed too much respect to Spence like Charlo is with Canelo. He said he's not a better fighter than me in any way. I'm better than him at everything. He guaranteed victory in a very confident way, despite all his respect he was showing to Spence. And I can't say Charlo's quite done that like Terrence has, but anyways, Terrence, once we got to weigh-in time and final press conference time, the switch athletes talked about, it came on for Crawford. Maybe that's what Charlo does. But for now, it's a little out of character. Good or a bad thing remains to be seen. Number 3, if Canelo wins this fight, it kind of reminds me of what Larry Merchant was saying in the lead up to De La Hoya Mosley 1 on the HBO pay-per-view broadcast. Right when HBO did the tail of the tape. They had back, HBO, God bless, rest in peace to HBO Boxing. They would have the unofficial night of the fight weights, and I missed that. I wish broadcasters were able to do that now, although I think fighters over years became less and less willing to divulge that information. But I remember De La Hoya, I think, was 155, and Mosley was 152. And so Larry Merchant went on and said, if De La Hoya beats Mosley, and he didn't, Mosley won, but if De La Hoya beats Mosley, it's because he's a better man, not a bigger man. And I see that being the case with Charlo and Canelo. De La Hoya, Mosley jumped up from lightweight to welterweight. Not in this first fight he fought De La Hoya, but in his third fight, I think it was, jumped lightweight, skipped 140 to 147 and beat De La Hoya, right? So Charlo 154, skipping 160 straight to 168, but like Mosley with De La Hoya, when they were always kind of the same size. It's just De La Hoya and Canelo, to their credit, have jumped up multiple weights before Mosley and Charlo had. But Mosley beat De La Hoya in the amateurs, and they were the same size in the amateurs. Charlo and Canelo obviously never fought, but they were the same size as young men. Actually, Charlo taller, as we all know. So I think it's a little bit like De La Hoya Mosley, where, yeah, De La Hoya and Canelo have been at 68 and 47 for a while. They've been champions for a while. I mean, De La Hoya had been a welterweight for 3 years at that point. Canelo's been a super middleweight for 4 years, or maybe actually 5, because he knocked out Rocky Felding to close 2018. But Charlo, like Mosley, is a big 54, like Mosley was a big lightweight. And I just don't think, yeah, that's the perfect comparison. I don't think it's going to really be that big of an issue. So, but, oh yeah, I got some people in the chat. Chat, forgive me, I'm going to still talk with you guys, but I'm trying to run a little bit tighter show that you guys can come back and rewatch if you missed it. And just trying to kind of have a concise format for this show where we get through the points and do our thing. But I will, for a moment here, read some people in the chat. Let me see. Charles Radley III says, great year for boxing. Tay Day says, fact, not even one substance, but two. We're talking the Bumgarner stuff. Team Batman saying, what a year for boxing. Jesus M says, Canelo's not a real 168. He's undersized. So yeah, let me just keep it pushing. Keep making our points here for the live. And, we'll look at a video here real quick to illustrate how respectful, Charlo has been so far. Hold on here. Let me, get that going. One moment, chat. Boom. All right, so here we'll see.
Just different. It's not the same being outside of the ring and being in the ring with me. I'm just...
So here's our face-off.
May your favorite bar...
I know, I gotta get YouTube red, chat. I gotta get YouTube
High Noon
red.
Tequila Seltzer.
Hold on. Get to the face-off. Get to the face-off. Canelo cools a cucumber.
Here you have it. Undisputed versus undisputed.
Holla at your boy for the high
Charlo, Canelo. Showtime pay-per-view, September.
Canelo with those silk pajamas. What did Marvin Hagler say? It's hard to get up for road work when you're waking up on silk sheets. That hasn't been a problem for Canelo. The silk pajamas were with him all through the undisputed super middleweight run. So, but still, them silk pajamas, man, you gotta wonder.
30th. The undisputed super middleweight title will be on the line.
Canelo being the boss. Yeah, let's take a belts photo op. He feels in control of this situation.
But it will happen on September 30th.
Charlo's acting like the B side. Charlo a little bit is being, part of me wanted being too respectful, too grateful for the opportunity, but
live on Showtime pay-per-view, Canelo versus Charlo.
Awesome photo op. Another respectful face off. And then just again to show how respectful Charlo's being of Canelo.
On the ring, I'm a general just like he is, and so
Where is it?
Give the people a reason why.
Yeah, after Canelo translates for himself, you know, damn, he's complimenting him, and it's
the Charlo twins, like
Undisputed. Super middle.
taught him English, man. He should got good, man.
Gotta respect it, man.
Good English, man.
I know. Hey, you gotta respect.
Is that the Jermell Charlo we're used to, chat? Chat, keep it real, chat. Is that, I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing yet, but is that the Jermell Charlo we're used to? Damn, your English is good. You know, great job, and smiling, and so respect, and, you know, I don't know, man. It's a different Charlo. I feel like the Charlo I'm used to would have been just more turned up, more, you know, intense and all of that. And he's, you know, playing very nice with Canelo. You know, maybe letting sleeping dogs lie. But it brings me to this thought, which is Charlo's allowing... Pacquiao used to do this. The Quiet Killers, Cotto, Pacquiao, they do this. If you do that respectful stuff back and forth with them, that's their ball game. That's their psychological ball game. It's almost like they got you. They're lulling you to sleep, right? Floyd didn't go for that with Manny. Manny would smile at guys. Guys would smile back at him. And, you know, they'd go for the okie doke, right? Meanwhile, that's a smile of a killer. And Canelo's doing a little bit of that to Charlo. Yeah, nice, shake hand, we're good, everything's respectful. That's Canelo's tempo. Now, we know Canelo's basically like, I'm on whatever you're on. You know, if you want to, and he says that, you know, if you want to get disrespectful, I'll get disrespectful. But his real MO is to be kind of boring at the presser, very respectful, nothing too salacious or hot. You know, he has that side to him. Gennady Golovkin pissed him off. The Danny Jacobs weigh in. Caleb Plant trying to slap him. But I just feel like on Charlo's side, you're letting him dictate the energy of the fight. You know, some of the first rounds happen before you get to fight night. The first round could be some of the first rounds before the fight before the fight's the weigh-in. The psychological battle between both, and already Canelo has the Lion subdued. He has him playing his game, you know, as opposed Charlo isn't dictating the energy of both men. So far it's Canelo, you know, so it's more his game, more his energy, what he does. This is both guys being respectful and everything, and we'll just see, man. We'll just see, but Canelo keeps talking about how rejuvenated he feels. I only got one question with him. Most of my stuff was with Charlo yesterday because Canelo was tough to get to. But he saw me for a second and we got one question in. And again, rejuvenated Canelo. He seems like he's back on his P's and Q's. Let's see.
Pues siempre lo habrá, pero está bien. El causar conflictos está bien. Ahora cuando no hablen de mí, entonces ahí me preocupo.
Gracias, chicos. Gracias.
You know, Charlo has a good jab, good movement. Do you think he'll try to do what Mayweather did in B-Bowl?
I can do it.
So yeah, I guess that's Canelo kind of, you know, I'm asking him, what if he tries to implement some of what Bivol and Mayweather did? Use his jab and use his movement. He has both of those attributes. And he goes, you know, I can do it. I'm ready. You know, that to me just said, I'm ready. I'm ready for this fight. I'm on my P's and Q's, and I'll be moving my head like the Canelo you're used to seeing. So I'm ready for the athleticism, the jab, and all that. I'm ready. So, you know, cool little quick moment there with Canelo. But someone in the chat says, let me see, it's a good comment. Says, Noon Biz says, Sean, you would be nice too if you were getting a payday like he is. All the macho stuff is out the window. I hear what you're saying about macho stuff being out the window, but you also got to dance with the girl that got you here. That turn up that we know Charlo for, that energy is part of what got him here. You know, some people in the chat said the live is bugging a little bit. Is that what's going on? Tay Day says, yo, the live is tweaking, Sean. Yeah, it's Cox Communication living up to their name, giving me horrible internet again. I apologize, chat, for any technical difficulties. I'll give you the best show I can through it. I apologize, chat. Sorry. But you know, the macho stuff being out the window, Noon Your Biz. The thing is, you do got to be who you are that got you here. That intensity, that passion, that willingness to talk shit and be confrontational and intense. It's what got him here. So does he want to turn that off completely? So far he has. We'll see. Chat Chad, are we really having some issues? Weedy says, what's up, Sean? Yeah, you're lagging a little. Julian Garcia said Charlo's switch is going to go off. Like, keep cutting out. Damn, I apologize, guys, for technical difficulties. Don't know too much I can do about that. Hold on here. Maybe I can adjust something here for the stream, but I think Cox Communications is just the worst. I apologize. Let me see. Well, we'll get through today the best we can, and then I'll make some adjustments I can to try to make sure this doesn't keep happening here on these lives. But let me see here. Some more notes to go over real quick, chat. Let me see. So, some other notes to get to real quick. So, we'll start with Charlo. We'll start with some initial notes I have on Charlo. And we'll start with Charlo's not a defensive wizard. Even in the fight where he knocked out even in the fight, his rematches, he won by knockout against Tony Harrison and Brian Castano. He got hit a lot. Part of me wonders if that's his balance. His balance is good, but it's not as good as guys like Canelo, Inoue, Tank, Shakur. I feel like when I watch him, he leans over the front foot just a little bit. And I think that makes him a little vulnerable to right hands. Got hit with a lot of right hands by Castano and by Harrison. So he's not a defensive wizard, and Canelo in some ways is a much better version of Castano. I say in some ways because in other ways he's nothing like Castano and just better in his own way. But in other ways, short build, compact puncher, a guy who knows how to get underneath shots and put him to get, Castano quicker hands than Canelo, but Canelo, that's a question for Canelo heading into this fight. His hand speed hasn't been the same the last 3 fights. He's been a little sluggish. But Canelo, when he's right, does have hand speed. Deceptive hand speed because of his wide build, and he loads up on shots, so you don't think of him as fast, but he is fast. But in some ways, he's a way better version of Castano. Similar build, but just much bigger and more crafty. So the same shots that were there for Castano, they'll be there for Canelo, and he'll be hitting a lot harder. Charlo has the footwork, the conditioning, and the jab to give Canelo fits. But does he have the power to get his respect? And does his punch resistance translate to 168? Is he still Iron Man? Charlo went down at one fight early in his career before he was a champion. But outside of that, he's always shown a very, very strong chin. Very good punch resistance. He got wobbled a couple times by Castano. Got wobbled a couple times by Tony Harrison. That might make you say his punch resistance isn't going to translate. Because punchers like that wouldn't have affected Canelo at 154. Nobody was hurting Canelo at 54 once he became a champion. Floyd hurt him with an uppercut, I think in round 7 in there. But other than that, I never saw Canelo rocked, even at 54. So, maybe not. Maybe the punch resistance will be a problem, even though he has a good punch resistance at 54. If guys like Harrison and Castano were hurting him, might be trouble with Canelo. And then the power, we know he's a puncher, but will he carry, he's won everyone but Austin Trout. He's won by knockout when he's won his fights at 54. Had the draw with Castano, lost the first Harrison fight, and Austin Trout went the distance. But outside of that, won every title fight by knockout. But will that power carry up? He's not knocking Canelo out. That's out of the question. But does he have enough to get his respect? And then are his combinations compact enough? Canelo's a more accurate and compact puncher technique-wise. I'm going to leave it on the notes because if it lags on me, it's not as bad if I just leave the notes up. So we'll do that, chat. Forgive me for these technical difficulties still. But Alex said Floyd never hurt Canelo. Stop it. He did. Go rewatch the tape. He buzzed him with that uppercut. Canelo rested on the ropes after eating that uppercut. Didn't throw punches for 10 to 15 seconds. That tells you he was buzzed. He wasn't out on his feet. He wasn't close to going down. He wasn't badly hurt or on Queer Street. But make no mistake, he was buzzed by that uppercut by Floyd. But anyway, moving on. Look, and before you guys go, oh, there goes Floyd hype, dick riding Floyd. Canelo was at 52. Canelo's peak started in the second Golovkin fight. So Floyd deserves credit. He beat a 40-something and 0 Canelo. He beat a Canelo that was unified. That was the king at 154. He beat him. So Floyd deserves a lot of credit. But, of course, I acknowledge Canelo's peak is the second Golovkin fight through the Caleb Plant fight at 60 through 68. So, but Canelo's a much more compact puncher than Charlo. Rewatch Charlo Castaño's rematch and combinations off the ropes, fighting off the ropes beautifully with fury. But when he opens up with his combinations, it's a little wide compared to a guy like Canelo. But that being said, at least he's still throwing combinations. Canelo doesn't really throw combinations that much anymore. He puts 2 or 3 together at the most. So it's a good thing that Charlo throws more combinations than Canelo, but rewatch the tape with Castaño. It's not every shot is pinpoint being placed. Sometimes he's just letting go, you know, and again, not every shot has got great compact accuracy and placement. Canelo's the more punch for punch accurate guy and the more compact puncher. So, you know, we'll see there. Got a super chat real quick. My bad. Sean, who has the better fundamentals in your eyes between the two? Good question, Juan Mendoza. Canelo. But Charlo's no slouch either. He's got good fundamentals too. Great jab. Charlo has a great jab. But Canelo throws everything so compact. He has a better high guard. That's the most fundamental version of defense is the high guard. He has a better high guard than Charlo. And I think the technique on how he throws each and every punch, the uppercut, the hook, the straight right hand, he throws it with more perfect form than Charlo. So I'll give it to Canelo. But Hakeem Steels, thank you for the super chat, said, for me, it'll come down to the moments where Mel is willing to exchange and Canelo's chin is a deciding factor. Well, if Canelo's chin's a deciding factor, it's going to work for Canelo because his chin is kind of one of the best chins in boxing history. To go through almost 70 professional fights, 20 of them or so being title fights or more, and no one's gotten you down, and really no one's put you on Queer Street. No one's buckled your legs and made them do the stinky leg or nothing like that. The man has one of the great chins thus far in boxing history. So I have little to no doubt that it can withstand anything from Charlo. Now, Charlo really sitting down on something might get his attention. But he can't stop Canelo. No way. If anyone's getting stopped in this fight, it's got to be Charlo. And my early pick is I don't think that happens. My early pick so far is going to be Canelo by decision, but we got a lot to look at between now and then. I keep an open mind. But Real's point, talking about it'll come down to the exchanges. I asked Charlo about that.
You learned from that.
Just a lot that
Let me see here. I got to find the part.
but I'm not sweating that much, so.
Boxer, do you take a page out of Bivol and Mayweather's book and what worked against Canelo?
Of course, everybody gonna go back and watch their fights and look at what they got going on and see what he did and the mistakes he made and try to capitalize. He the same fighter, so he might do some changes, but he gotta figure me out as well.
You feel like being from the South, being from Texas, where you probably had a lot of sparring growing up, that's gonna help for this fight.
And fights in the amateur, so I always fought, the Mexican crew and. I've been down to Mexico. I've been, Brownsville, the Valley, hanging out with the Figueroas and all of them guys. So I understand what would come with it.
What do you got to do to be successful against really good Mexican fighters like Canelo?
You got to stand your guards. You got to punch. You got to box. You got to move.
But you heard what he said right there, Hakeem Steels. He said you got to hold your ground. You got to hold your ground. And I think I wind up following up with that. But basically, because Charlo's a boxer puncher. He's not a pure boxer. Charlo's a boxer puncher. He's not going to be able to perfectly outbox Canelo for 12 rounds. That would be a dumb game plan. That would mean he's just going to play keep away and not sit down on anything and get walked around the ring.
He just ready to fight, just be over with. He don't like motherfuckers that move a lot.
You talked about
Charlo's very there by Charlo saying Canelo doesn't like guys that move a lot. But he knows movement's key. He knows movement's key, but he also knows I can't move away from this guy all night. So I liked what I heard from both guys in this press conference. Got me more looking forward to the fight. But let me get back to the notes now that Charlo helped highlight that point. So those were some of my points about Charlo. Here's some early notes I want to point out about Canelo Alvarez heading into this one. One moment, bang. All right. So in this fight for Canelo, YouTube screen sharing makes you lag box. No, it's not that, boxing analyst. I think I don't know. Cox Communications internet isn't always the best, and is giving me an awful time today for some reason. But you big lagging now. Sorry, chat. I'm just trying to get through the chat, the show today, chat. I apologize. But so to finish out the notes here, Canelo can't afford to get tired by the 7th or 8th round. He's been doing that since the Bivol fight now. It's a habit he used to have before the Golovkin rematch. If he does that, Charlo will sense that and take advantage. He doesn't get tired. Charlo doesn't get tired. So if he senses Canelo's taking his foot off the gas around 7 or 8, Charlo, I think, will step it up and take advantage. Point 2, Canelo's been predictable on offense lately. He keeps loading up and using the same setups. My internet's terrible right now, so if I switch, but here I am in lower court. One setup Canelo's been doing over and over again since the Bivol fight is he leads with his double hand, kind of throws a double jab out there, and then he loads up over the top, or he loads up to the body. But that double jab or that lead little feint he does is becoming predictable his last couple fights. It's like you know it's coming behind it. And Charlo has the feet to step off and do that. Bivol started to do that with him in his fight. He began to see it coming. And it was a little bit like Oscar Valdez, who's also trained by Eddie Reynoso, against Emmanuel Navarrete, where you're loading up too much. You know, instead of letting shots flow, instead of using your jab, focusing on the body, using your jab, using everything on offense, you just keep loading up too much. And Canelo's been doing that a little bit, and that's kind of what Valdez did. Now, Canelo's a guy who always loads up. He always throws every punch hard. But his offense, when he's at his best, flows more. He uses his jab more, and he uses his defense, his rolls, to pull and to counter off of them. And lately, the upper body, he hasn't been countering off that forward, that front foot counter punching, where he's coming forward, cutting distance, but moving his head and punching off the head movement. Hasn't been doing that quite as much, been loading up that much more. So he's got to get back to letting his offense flow, you know, using all his tools. And then against John Ryder, he got busted up more than ever, facial damage wise. I mean, his nose was busted, leaking from his nose. We don't see that from Canelo. When have you known Canelo to leak from his nose after a fight? The worst we've ever seen him after a fight is Floyd left him with a shiner. You know, that's the worst he's looked. But Ryder left his nose busted up. He had, you know, cotton swabs up the nose and everything. And that's John Ryder. So he's got to be sharper on defense again. More energy with the upper body movement, because that's what's the difference is. Canelo at his best, and I think this is part of why he can't throw 50, 60, 70 punches around. It's because he throws everything hard, and his upper body movement is constant, and that has to be exhausting. So, but the energy has to return to the upper body movement in the defense. And then lastly, how hungry is he? You know, I know he says all the right things. I love boxing. This is my passion. I'm going to fight for 4 or 5 more years. But he's made about $500 million. And it's got to be... It's a lot to ask a guy to still want to get punched in the face and want to wake up and train hard like he did when he was younger, when he's made $500 million and he's 32, 33 years old now. He's had twice as many fights as Jermell Charlo. So Charlo's got to be the fresher guy. He's got to be the fresher guy. He's had it, but he's also the more inactive guy. You know, he's fought once in 16 months. This will be Canelo's 3rd fight in that same time frame. That's got to help Canelo. But despite that activity, you know, wear and tear comes along with that. Canelo's had more injuries than Charlo to his knees and to his hands. So Charlo's the fresher guy. But I think with the terrible connection we have, chat, I will leave it on that. I was gonna FightHype hook Sean up with Dollar. I was gonna, you know, keep it going more, talk with the chat, but it looks like we're having a tough live. And hopefully audio's good enough for the people coming back and rewatching this. You can at least put it on your headphones and ignore all the video lag. But I apologize for technical difficulties. I hope you guys that were able to watch the show appreciated the breakdown. And let's keep it locked in. Let me call my people here. They're not my people, but let me call Cox Communications, get this fixed out here. And Sean needs an Ethernet cord. You're probably right, Weedy Gonzalez. But we'll see. I do favor Canelo early on in this fight. I favor Canelo to win by decision. Deserves to be the favorite. Oh, is my internet all of a sudden working well? Just when my breakdown's done, did my internet not like my 30-minute breakdown there? But okay, bro, we're good now. All right, we're good now. So maybe I should stick around for a second. All right, chat. Oh, Bronco Kid keeps asking me about Trey Lance and my Niners. Look, man, shout out to the man Grant Cohn. So the Grant Cohn is an amazing journalist covering the NFL. Has a lot of haters, but the man has balls of steel. The man comes into the 49ers facility and tells the truth with no fear of getting his credential revoked. I kind of agree with my man Grant Cohn. They totally fumbled the development of Trey Lance. The Niners have done Trey Lance dirty. I get it. The kid needs a lot of improvement. But I'm just saying it now. If you let Trey Lance walk away from the Niners, he's gonna be something somewhere else. Anyways, that's enough. That's enough football talk for now. I'm covering the Raiders now. I find, fingers crossed. I just got my foot in the door, but it looks like I'll be able to cover the Raiders. Hopefully, week 1, Mile High in Denver. I'll be there. Your boy will be there. So, but you guys are saying, stick around. I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna stick around now, chat. Now that the internet isn't from hell. The second it goes, though, we'll just call it a day. Chat, were you guys able to actually hear me at least? Were you, obviously video was terrible, but could you at least hear the breakdown? Did it sound good? Did it sound good at least? But, D said Raider Nation. Is the undercard going to be weak? Julian Garcia, Sean, why are you not on Porter Podcast? Love those guys. Amazing show that's doing great, without me. But, business stuff happens. And, definitely continue to wish them the best and hope I'm doing a great job on my own end, Julian. But Weedy says we heard it fine. Okay, you guys heard me. At least you heard it. At least you heard the breakdown. Okay. All is not lost. We got like only 60 people in here, I think, because of the technical difficulties. But for the 65 of you that stuck around, you are good people. Thank you so much. I guess we could touch quickly on Alicia Baumgartner, right? Why not? Why not? Let's touch on Baumgartner. 1 second, chat. Bing knew what I was going for. Alright. Here we go. Alicia Baumgartner tested positive before the July fight, where she won her rematch for Christina Lenardadu. So, chat, as infamously happened a few weeks ago when someone took 45 seconds of me talking about PEDs and made it seem like I singled out Inoue. But for those of you, because I feel like the 60 to 80 of you sticking around are like the hardcore base I have here on FightHype Live. So I feel like a lot of you guys were actually watching that live as it happened. And so you guys happen to know my original point was, because I named several fighters from all backgrounds beyond Inoue, that none of these fighters are really above my suspicion, to be quite honest with you. And just about none of them would surprise me if they popped for PEDs. So am I surprised Alicia Baumgartner popped for PEDs? No, not at all, in the slightest. And does that make me mad at, I mean, for all I know, a lot of the fighters she was fighting did it too. It's a sketchy line there for me to go on and say I don't really care when people's livelihoods are in the ring. People die all the time in boxing. So it's not that I don't care. It's just that as long as it's a level playing field, I'm good. If she's on it, I want the other girl on it. If the other girl's not on it, then I don't want her on it. But that's my issue more than whether a fighter's on PEDs or not, is I just want a level playing field. Both guys got it, then both guys are on it. If both girls are on it, both girls are on it. But no, I'm not surprised. Alicia Baumgartner, I mean, I joked around with my wife before the Michaela Mayer rematch. I said, do you think she's raging at all? Because she was in tremendous shape and veins everywhere, and almost weightlifter level. Not the mass wise, but the level of cut and definition. And so I'm not surprised. Not surprised to hear it happen, but I also think Alicia is the second best female fighter pound for pound behind Clarissa Shields. I think she sets the best traps in female boxing. She's got one of the best defenses in female boxing. Great up jab, great power right hand, and a left hook that's come along and become one of her best weapons along with the right hand to the body and to the head. She's got a great left hook. So I'm an Alicia Baumgardner fan, but not surprised that she popped for PEDs. Not surprised at all. Still will be a fan of hers. There's some of my favorite fighters of all time took PEDs. I'm not going to go over the list again, but I'm still a fan of them. So I don't condone it. Especially if Leonardo was not on it. That is a disgraceful thing to do to your opponent if they're clean and you are not. But I told you guys originally in that take that got taken out of context, nothing would surprise me at the elite level of professional sports, not just boxing, football, NBA, and any of it. This is elite level professional sports. And by the way, chat, if Alicia Baumgardner can afford it, if Alicia Baumgardner can do it, and she's a female boxer not even clearing $1 million purse yet, what do you think the guys that are making tens of millions and millions can afford? If Alberto Puello is on it, and he's just making a couple $100,000 in a fight against Rolly, is it really crazy to think that people making 10 to 20 times more money than him with 10 to 20 more times higher stakes than him would think of doing the same? Of course not, So, yeah, man. Sean, are you on PEDs? If we consider weed a PED, then yes, I am always on PEDs, Weedy Gonzalez. That's perfect coming from you, Weedy. This was perfect. So, but that's it. I should never talk about PEDs because because it'll get taken out of context. For all I know, someone just took the Baumgardner thing out of context and made it sound like I think she's awful when I really don't give a shit and I'm still a fan of hers. So hopefully no one did that. I'd appreciate it if you didn't, but yeah. Oh no, that was Boxing Analyst who said, Sean, are you on PEDs? If you consider weed a PED, then yes, I am constantly on PEDs. So let's see. Again, my final point on PEDs is nothing would surprise me at the elite level of boxing and professional sports. Nothing would surprise me. And I'm closer. Look, I don't fully condone it or anything like that, but I'm much closer. I wish I could play the clip without getting fear of copyright. But I am much, much, much closer. Chat, you could look it up. To John Witherspoon's, Craig's dad from Friday. I'm much closer to his stance on steroids than I am being the ambassador of cleaning sports up. Just being completely honest with you, chat. I'm much closer to being like John Witherspoon about it than I am the other route. Not fully like John Witherspoon. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah. Mr. Quake says 1999 was a fun year in the WW. Absolutely. 1999 was an awesome year across the board. Video games, WWF, everything. 1689 LBC says innocent till proven guilty, period. Yeah, no, that's true. Absolutely. That is how it should be. Suspicion is not guilt. Suspicion is not guilt. Saying I'm suspicious isn't me saying you're guilty. I get suspicious things wrong all the time. Blind Faith says my PEDs, potent exclusive dro. So, damn, chat. Now that I know the live's actually working, I feel like the best part of the show got missed. The whole point, the whole essence of today. We were breaking down. Fucking, you know what? I gotta double back, chat. It may be annoying for some of you, but I gotta double back. I gotta quickly skim through the notes again since shit was so fucked up while it was happening. So, Canelo feels rejuvenated. Is he though? He said all the right things. He definitely said all the right things. I liked everything both fighters had to say. Except maybe Charlo not being a little more disrespectful and confident. Like, not disrespectful, but a little more confidence from Charlo. A little bit more intensity from my man. But isn't quite the Charlo we're used to. That's my point. That might be a good thing because focus and maturity for the biggest opportunity of your life. Or it could be a bad thing. A little out of character. Not quite as confident as you usually are. Canelo wins. It's because he's better. Like Larry Merchant said before De La Hoya Mosley when HBO had them on unofficial scales and they almost weighed the same on fight night. Mosley, like Charlo, moving up 2 weight classes, but he's not really smaller. If Canelo beats him, it's because he's better. So quick notes for Charlo. Not a defensive wizard. Even when he beat Castano in the rematch and Harrison in the rematch, he got hit with shots. Canelo, in some ways, all the shots that were there for Castano will be there for Canelo. He can throw all the shots Castano has. He has the same kind of build Castano has. Castano, 54-pounder, quicker hands than Canelo at this stage, but Canelo better than him in every way that he gave Charlo fits. Charlo has the footwork, he has the conditioning, and he has the jab, but does he have the power to get Canelo's respect? And does his punch resistance translate to 68? He's always had excellent punch resistance. He has been down once at 54 before he became a champion. Guys like Tony Harrison and Castano wobbled his legs. Guys like that weren't hurting Canelo at 54. So we'll see. The punch resistance could be an issue, even though it's always been good. And I like that he throws combinations. Canelo doesn't throw combinations anymore. He throws 2 or 3 shots at a time at the most. Charlo still throws combinations, but they're not compact punches. Go back and watch the Castano fight. Beautiful combinations off the ropes from Joan Guzman, schooling him on how to fight off the ropes, but not compact and accurate on every shot. Canelo's more compact and accurate punch for punch technique-wise. Now for Canelo, can't afford to get tired by the 7th and 8th like he has his last couple fights. Charlo will sense that, and he'll take advantage. He'll step it up. Been predictable on offense. Canelo, so my shit was fucking up at the time, so now I can show it better. Canelo, since the Bivol fight, he did it at time. He did it. A lot of it is a credit to Bivol because he did this setup against Callum Smith over and over again, and just Callum Smith had no answers for it. But Canelo keeps doing this thing with his lead hand where he either double jabs and comes with something over the top, comes with something to the body, comes with the uppercut, and he's doing this. He's starting to fall in love with that setup too much. But when he's at his best, he shoots his jab. He finds things off the jab. His offense is more predictable. You don't know when the lead hook's coming because he establishes the jab first. He doesn't load up on power shots right from the opening bell. He establishes the jab, and that sets up the lead hook because they don't know what's coming, the jab or the hook. And then he's great at countering off his forward head movement, his forward momentum head movement. And lately, he hasn't been doing that as much. He's just been more, he's been a little bit like Oscar Valdez was against Navarrete. When Valdez used his jab, he landed it. When he went to the body, he landed it. But too often, he tried to load up on shots. And Canelo's always been a guy that throws every punch hard. But he's been loading up that much more. And I think fighters have been seeing it coming more and more because he's being a little predictable with the setups. He's using the same touch double jab or the same lead hand feint. And it's like, you know it's coming. So he's got to go back to being a little more less predictable on offense and flowing, using all his skills. Not falling in love with the same setups over and over again. And just bringing more defensive energy. Got busted up against Ryder. Okay, yeah. So you guys got that. Anyways. Blind Faith says, Bud's coming for Charlo. Sean, redeem Undisputed, bro. Blind Faith, thank you for the super chat, brother. But I got to take a little bit more break with Undisputed gameplay just because I feel rusty. Been working a lot, and I want the gameplay to be sexy when we do FightHype Live. I lost those last couple fights. They patched the game, so we got to get used to the new stuff in the patch. And I'm out of focus here. Hold on, okay. So I got to get a little tight before we get back to Undisputed. Thank you, brother. But I feel bad, Blind Faith. You don't super chat me next time. Just get your Undisputed gameplay and hit me in the chat for it. I'll sharpen up in the next week or two to get back to Undisputed on live. High and low sports Zentrum says FightHype, follow the leader. Oh, thank you, brother. Hey, I think you're in reference to us. You're saying we're like Eric B and Rakim. People follow the leader with FightHype. I do think that. Thank you, brother. Weedy Gonzalez says Navarrete. What was your pick with Navarrete versus Valdez? I missed it. Weedy, I got that one wrong. I had Valdez. Been on a hot streak. Been picking all the big fights right, but I picked that one wrong. And something in my gut, I said this on the lives. I said, I'm going with Valdez. He's the more compact puncher, which he kind of wasn't, it turned out. He's the more compact puncher. He's got the better upper body movement. And he does have better upper body movement, but just having better upper body movement doesn't always mean you're going to have better defense. Navarrete was super impressive. Navarrete tightened things up. He didn't rely on his uppercut like he usually does. Valdez was waiting for him to do what he normally does. Open up from a far out range that most guys won't throw the uppercut at. Let it go, and then come inside with the left hook. But from round one, Valdez struggled with the length of Navarrete. The length, the footwork, the ranginess of Navarrete, who didn't overly rely on his uppercut. He was very unpredictable with his offense and had a good jab, good footwork, great distance control, using his longer arms, and had a great chopping right hand. Anytime Valdez would use his head movement and try to pull out of range, Navarrete with those long arms would chop him with a right hand while he would pull out and chop down on him with that right hand when he'd pull out. Navarrete just fought a beautiful fight in terms of footwork, knowing his distance, and being, again, just being unpredictable with his offense, not overly relying on his uppercut. Valdez was overly reliant on his left hook, but Navarrete wasn't overly reliant on his uppercut. So Navarrete showed us, because I think we all respected Navarrete and know he's a good fighter, but I think Navarrete showed he's better than everyone thought. Most experts picked Valdez. He was a betting favorite at the books. And heading into the fight, I said, something in my gut says Navarrete. I'm picking Valdez, but something in my gut says Navarrete's fresher than him. But that wasn't, he didn't beat him because he's fresh or because Valdez has been in too many wars. He was smarter than Valdez and just the better fighter, the more versatile fighter. And he was just better and more versatile than Valdez. And his power showed up better than Valdez. Valdez couldn't hurt Navarrete no matter what he really, I'm sure he got his attention a couple times. I think in the 10th he may have hurt him, but he was hurt round after round by Navarrete. So, yeah, I got that one wrong. Glenn Cha says leaves himself open too much. Yeah, maybe for a Shakur Stevenson or something like that, but Navarrete's good. He's closer to elite than he is ordinary. Absolutely. I'm not saying he's elite. I'm not saying he's quite, but he's top 20 pound for pound. Not top 10, but he's in the top 20 and maybe even top 15, and he keeps doing his thing. Don't count him out of getting to that pound for pound list at some point. I don't think anyone beats him at 130. He shouldn't move up to 35 and fight Shakur. He should stay at 130, become undisputed. And something else I wanted to say about him. But yeah, no, Vaquero got me on that one. I was wrong. The Cowboy got me. I was wrong on that one. I picked Valdez. So, let me see. Bronco Kid says Valdez gets cut easily. I don't know what his next move should be. I like Valdez, even though he's popped for a PED in the past. Very, very, good, a gentleman and a warrior, Oscar Valdez. So, Manitas de Piedra said, laughing my ass off, he's top 5. Come on. Nah, I can't put him top 5. Well, top 5, you got what? Crawford, Inoue, Usyk, guys, Bivol, Canelo, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis, Devin Haney, Artur Beterbiev, Jermell Charlo. I don't know if you want to put Tyson Fury on there. Pound for pound's made for guys that are, if you want to put him there, that's fine. But those guys I named for sure I'd have to put ahead of him for now. But he's excellent. Ramirez versus Navarrete. Ramirez has got a straight left hand, and that's it. I like Ramirez, but basically he's got that straight left hand. He's rangy and does all kinds of tricks around it and surrounding it, but that's basically Ramirez, is that left hand. And that left hand ain't going to get Navarrete's respect or keep him off. He doesn't throw the combinations or have the... Navarrete threw over 1,000 punches. So, nah, he ain't beating Navarrete. No one from 26 or 30 is beating Navarrete. My man Lukey from inside the ropes, my man Luke down in the Bay Area mentioned that Navarrete needs to stick around 130 because his super fight down the road might be Inoue. I definitely think Inoue is going to become the 3rd, 6th division champion in boxing history, or 4th alongside Serrano, De La Hoya, and Pacquiao. I think Inoue is going to go all the way up to 30 and become champion. Maybe Navarrete can be undisputed at that point, and that would be a huge fight. Mexico versus Japan, great clash of styles and what would be a guaranteed entertaining fight. I like Navarrete and Inoue down the road. I like that fight. Keep it moving. Thank you for the Thank you for the super chat. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Ask me Navarrete versus Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson. And Richard Torres versus Jared Anderson in the future. Jared Anderson. I love Richard. I love his heart, his work ethic, his personality. And I think he's an overachiever. I think he'll squeeze even more out of him than he's got in his 6'2" body at the heavyweight division. I think Torres is a real fighter. He's not just a guy with a great mustache, Mexican American who won a silver medal, but he's undersized. And no, he's gonna give the division a run for its money. Torres is tough as they come, from what I could see. He's got this, but he's got a little Sean Porter in him. He's an overachiever, undersized. But Anderson's the thoroughbred. Anderson's the thoroughbred. He's the more versatile fighter. He can just do more things, more skilled. I hate that Anderson pulls out with his chin straight up sometimes, but he showed us heart against Charles Martin and a chin. He took those straight left hands from Charles Martin. He's got to tighten that up. He's got to stop pulling out with his chin straight up. He's got to stop doing it. He won't become heavyweight champion if he keeps doing that. But I do think Anderson is more the thoroughbred. I got Anderson over Richard Torres one day. Jen Nugent said, who would win Usyk versus Fury? Fury, good big man beats a good smaller man, to put it simply. I know Fury said Cunningham was my toughest fight because he was a cruiserweight, and that's what gives me more problems as opposed to a big guy. But I just think it's a good big man beats a good smaller man. Usyk at 6'3", 220-ish, has fast hands, can counter, can move. But Fury can do those things too, but he's 6'9" and 270. So I'll take him. Good big man beats a good smaller man. Team Batman Boxing says, well, how come he lost to him then a few times? Team Batman, is that true? You know what? Team Batman put me on game. I am not afraid for my chat sometimes, and to sometimes know some shit I don't. I got love for my chat. My chat knows boxing. So Team Batman, let me look that up real quick. Let me look up if that's true. I believe you, by the way. Without looking it up, I believe you. Let's see though if you led me astray. Where's Jared? Where's Jared in the amateurs? We're looking. I'm looking for Jared Anderson in the amateurs. Not finding it yet. Where's it at? Jeremiah Milton, of course, Jalalov. When did he fight Jared Anderson in the amateurs? I'm not seeing it. Nope, not seeing it. Okay, well, maybe you did lead me astray, or maybe I was reading. You were talking about someone else was beaten multiple times, but so yeah. It's there, Sean. Larry Liston says, lower. You passed it up, says we. Oh, thank you, chat. Yeah, my chat. I got love for my chat. Let me see. Let me go slower this time. Kashawn Davis. Slowly. There he is. Forgive me, chat. Okay, so he beat Jared Anderson in the amateurs. Did he beat him twice? You guys said multiple times. I mean, I'm good having seen he did it once. That's good enough for me. Okay, all right. Oh, okay, well, let me clap back at you then, chat. How did Muhammad Abdullayev do against Miguel Cotto in the rematch of their fight from the Olympics, where Muhammad Abdullayev beat Miguel Cotto, and then Cotto stopped him in the Garden in HBO. So, just because he beat him in the amateur. Now sometimes that does show up in the pros again. Tarver beat Roy Jones as an amateur, and then he beats him in the pros. Mosley beat De La Hoya, he beats him in the pros. So some guys have your number for life since childhood. But I don't suspect that would be the case with Richard, but maybe he could. Jared, if Jared can't keep his distance and Richard makes it an inside fight, makes it a rough fight, maybe he'd get the better of Jared Anderson. But me personally, I still favor Jared Anderson. I think he's a little more versatile, longer arms, a little bit more talented than Richard Torres. But if you put Richard Torres' work ethic and heart, and I think Jared has good work ethic and heart, but if you put it in Jared, it probably, you'd really have the next great American heavyweight. But maybe that's not fair to Jared, because I do like his drive and his heart too, but I think Richards is even on another level. And hard work can beat talent if talent doesn't work hard, but I don't think that'll necessarily be the case with these two, who are our two best heavyweights coming up here in the United States. They're our two best heavyweights. I like Jermell Charlo, but he's kind of like Richard and Jared, in that Jermell Charlo, who is, let me look him up now. Jermell Charlo, let me put you guys on game for Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo is probably the kid who, I believe he's the kid representing us at heavyweight in the 2024 Olympics. My man right here, Jermell Charlo. And I like this kid. Oh, I think that's my boy True School, I think, who got him. But I like Jermell Charlo. He's like Jared. He has good athleticism and coordination and fluidity, but he's not the biggest. He's only about 6'3". But these guys are our best bet, our best hopes right now coming out of the United States in the heavyweight division. While I'm on it, while I'm showing you guys some of the Olympians I like, I expect Raheem Gonzalez to definitely compete for a gold medal. But I mentioned this kid before on my lives, but I want you guys to see this kid, Jamal Harvey. I think is gonna be one of the next top American fighters we have coming out of USA Boxing. This kid will be representing, I think he's like a bantamweight, like a 118, 122, around there. He'll be fighting in the 24 games. Just look at the look in the young man's eyes. He's got that look. Terrence Crawford had that look when he was a young man. Well, that's Eric St. Louis. Oops. But this kid right here, I think, is the goods, chat. You heard it here first on Fight Hype Live. Jamal Harvey will be a world champion. Calling that shot all day. So, Larry Liston said, I know Harvey. He's real talented. The next American superstar for sure. So, Larry Liston, you know what's up. That kid is good. Joshua Ortega says Gonzalez out of Nebraska. No, Josh Ortega. Raheem Gonzalez. Raheem's from L.A. and lives out here in Gaza. Raheem Gonzalez. Now, Raheem, he's an interesting cat because, when it comes up is my interview with him. Yeah, that was my interview with him. But Raheem's an interesting cat because he doesn't think he's ever going to go professional. And Raheem's almost 28, 29 years old. So Raheem representing us in the red, white, and blue in 2024, he's going to give some of these other guys overseas a taste of their own medicine, because our guys are always 21, 22, 19, 18, fighting grown-ass men. And Raheem Gonzalez is a grown-ass man. And so I think he has a really good chance of winning gold medal. He has really fast hands, and all his habits are as an amateur. He's not an amateur trying already to begin to fight like a pro. He continues to fight like an Olympian. I think Raheem Gonzalez definitely could get us a gold. Jamal Harvey, whether he gets us a gold or not, I think is the best prospect on the Olympic team, Jamal Harvey. And I like Jermell Charlo at heavyweight. So we got a solid team. Coach Billy Walsh has been doing a great job with USA Boxing. Shout out to Coach Billy Walsh. And that's a big reason why we got so many medals. Still haven't gotten a gold since Andre Ward, but fingers crossed that this is the first gold we get in 20 years in 2024. And it might be our last chance, because AIBA keeps thinking about shutting down boxing. USA Boxing continues to state their case and want Olympic boxing to remain in the Olympics. I think we all do. Floyd Mayweather, I agree with him. I think headgear should return to amateur boxing in the Olympics. But so yeah, I'm happy we trailed off into that. That's important stuff. We can't always talk about the big fights and the pay-per-view fights. We do got to look ahead to the future in USA Boxing. So Mac Banks says 126 Jermell. Well, yeah, Jermell is definitely got next. He's a tremendous young talent. So tremendous that, Floyd Mayweather said he wants Lee Wood, the WBA featherweight champion, to fight Jermell in his first fight as a professional. And Jermell said, I'm ready. Look, as talented as Jermell is, he's never fought beyond 3 rounds before. And the gym doesn't count. We're talking, full fight. Jermell is a future star. He's a future star. He's got incredible talent, and I have no doubt that he will be at least an excellent fighter, if not an exceptional fighter. But if he's trying to one-up what Lomachenko did, you know, Lomachenko had 400 amateur fights. Lomachenko was in his mid to late 20s when he did that. And he did have a professional fight before he got in there with Salido, and he lost. And despite all that, he still lost. So I don't think it's a great idea. But it'd be very interesting as hell. I think it's just hype. I think in FightHype, we're a perfect place to talk about it. But I think that's just hype. I don't think that's realistically going to happen. But Jermell is a young prodigy at 17 years old. I have no doubt he has tremendous upside and can be an exceptional pro. But again, not a good idea, because Lomachenko tried it after having a pro fight against a guy who was 25-3, I think was his record in Loma's pro debut. So he had that fight, and then he had 400, and then he did that tournament, that international tournament, where they still wore headgear, but he was fighting professionals like Jose Ramirez. So, yeah, he had a ton more experience than Jermell, and he was a grown man. He was physically a grown man. Jermell's a teenager, so... But, fun stuff, fun for headlines, fun for hype, you know. Joseph Diaz says, what are you yelling for? I can't stay monotone the whole time, Joseph Diaz. I gotta bring some energy. No. But... Brun Oska says, Navarrete versus Inoue. Navarrete versus Foster. Oshaki Foster. Before I just said I don't think anyone beats Navarrete at 130. Oshaki Foster is a very tough fight stylistically for Navarrete. He's never seen that style before. Slick, black American fighter who's going to make you miss a lot. And how do you handle that? You know, that'll be a new problem he's never been presented with. But Navarrete probably deserves to be the favorite, but he already beat one tall Mexican fighter who likes to be kind of offense first in Ray Vargas, but Navarrete's much better than Ray Vargas. He punches harder than him, and he's just better. He's just he's crafty. He showed us how crafty he was. That he doesn't just hit hard. He's not just awkward with really good awkward timing, and he wasn't just a weight bully. You know, he's the real deal, Navarrete. So Navarrete and Foster is close to a 50-50 fight. Maybe give the edge to Navarrete, but Foster has a very difficult style. He has a very good defense. That's definitely the two best 130-pounders, not Joe Cordina. The two best 130-pounders are definitely Navarrete and Foster. That's a very interesting contrast of styles, that fight. Navarrete versus Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson beats him. Navarrete versus Inoue. I think Inoue would... Oh, that's a very interesting fight. That's getting ahead of ourselves. Inoue's got Tapales for undisputed at 122. I think he'll win that fight. And then he's got to get to 26 before he gets to 30. So, we got to see what Inoue looks like. But if Inoue can carry everything up to 30, you probably give the edge to Inoue because he might be the best fighter in the world. Him or Crawford. So, Navarrete versus Lomachenko. Interesting fight. Interesting fight. I would have to go... If it's at 135 or Lomachenko, I'd go Lomachenko. It all depends if Loma has been up and down recently. He showed up for Haney, but he didn't show up for Jermaine Ortiz. He was lackadaisical against Richard Comey. He showed up for Nakatani. So you don't know which Loma you're going to get now these days in his mid-30s. But Loma on his game, I would still take him to beat Navarrete. And then lastly, Manny Pacquiao in his prime against Joan Guzman. Manny Pacquiao. I love Joan Guzman. His talent. Joan Guzman was the Yuriokis Gamboa of his era. From the Caribbean, ridiculously talented. Very fun to watch, talent-wise. But screws around a little bit in between fights and doesn't get down to the weight and winds up having to fight at a higher weight than he really should against bigger men. That's what happened to both Gamboa and Guzman. I think Pacquiao's on a different level than Guzman, as talented as Guzman was, so Pacquiao would have beaten him. 1689 LBC said Inoue is going to be undisputed in his next fight, then 126. I agree. Pac-Man versus Inoue in their primes. Ooh, that would have been something. Pacquiao at 120, because we got to keep it realistic about the division. So Pacquiao at 122 that fought Ledwaba against Inoue. I'd favor Inoue, probably. Oof, that feels blasphemous. We're talking about maybe one of the top 10 fighters that ever lived pound for pound. But 122 wasn't Pacquiao's peak. Pacquiao's peak was 130. The Morales Pacquiao's peak was the rematch with Morales. Well, no, his peak was Hat and Cotto De La Hoya taking Margarito's eye out almost. Like that was the peak. But I would say his real prime started when he beat Morales in the rematch and started using his right hand. Because before that rematch with Morales, he lost that first fight. He got a draw with Marquez. He was, he was, the double jab, straight left hand. The double jab, straight left hand. Once he rematched Morales, he got that Manila Ice, the right hook, started throwing the hook to the body, to the head, and, using his lead hand more in his combinations to mix it up. So Pacquiao wasn't really at his peak yet. He was at his peak athletically by the time he got to 122, and his left hand was a motherfucker. And he was a problem at 122, but he even got slightly better at 26 when he beat Barrera, and then he really developed into his prime in that Morales rematch when he got that Manila Ice going. So yeah. Pac-Man versus Crawford at welterweight. I'd give the edge to Crawford. Styles make fights a little bit there, and counterpunchers always gave Manny problems, as evidenced by Marquez and Mayweather. I think Crawford had the length and the power and the speed to keep up with Pacquiao. That'd have been something. Pacquiao was otherworldly from 2008 to 2011, so I could be wrong here, but as otherworldly as he was, Styles still make fights to a degree, and Crawford's style, in some ways, is all wrong for Pacquiao. So I'd actually probably favor Crawford. But head-to-head, I'd favor Crawford. But all-time ranking them, Crawford still has a lot of work to do to catch up to Manny. Inoue versus Figueroa. Inoue, LBC. Figueroa gets hit too much. I don't care how big he is. He gets hit too much to beat Inoue. He'll feel those body shots. Red, what's good, Red? Better Biev versus Kovalev? Big Kneesy? I'd have to go Better Biev because Kovalev kind of ducked him. That fight could have happened early in their careers. Better Biev wanted that fight. Better Biev beat him in the amateurs. Kovalev's punch resistance isn't good. Better Biev's, despite being dropped by Callum Johnson, he's just tougher than Kovalev. I personally, preference-wise, I like Kovalev more than Better Biev. I really liked Kovalev. He disappointed the fuck out of me when he said some racial stuff, and then much more so even when he assaulted that woman in Big Bear. It was like, come on, Kovalev, I liked you as a fighter. I loved your jab. I loved Kovalev's jab and his right hand, and I loved that there was life and bounce in his legs. That he was this tall light heavyweight with this great jab and this great right hand, but he had some bounce to him. He had some bounce. Well, I moved my head. He didn't do a whole lot of that, but he was rangy. And I thought for a few years there, Kovalev had the best jab in boxing. A lot of people thought Golovkin did, but I thought Kovalev had the best jab in boxing. But anyways, I say all that to say, I think that Better Biev would have beat him. Yeah. How the fuck is Bivol pound for pound? That's insane. Bivol's got to be top 10 pound for pound. He beat the pound for pound king when he was reigning and looking invincible in Canelo. Now, the reason why he doesn't get to be number 1 pound for pound or even top 3 is he was the naturally bigger man. To a degree, he did what he was supposed to do. But Canelo was having that aura of invincibility around last year. It was starting to look like the Mayweather effect. The Roy Jones, just line them up and they're going to get beat, but that wasn't the case. And then Bivol followed it up by beating a guy who was 45-0, 44-0 in Zerto. who was bigger than him, who was the naturally bigger man than Bivol. Bivol handled him with ease. So Bivol definitely deserved Fighter of the Year in 2022. He hasn't done, or no, I don't know. Yeah, because, Zittel was last November, right? No, it couldn't have been, because he loses to Bivol last May. That's right, because he fights Golovkin in September. So yeah, Bivol beat Zittel in November. Bivol, his problem is he hasn't done shit in 2023. And his problem is, I like his manager, good guy, young guy, Vadim, good man. But Vadim, I think, got too cute in negotiations, and it helped cost them this rematch with Canelo. And now they got nowhere to go. They got nothing to do. And Arum doesn't feel like there's that much money in Bivol and Beterbiev, and he doesn't want to make it. So Bivol's in limbo right now. But make no mistake about it, Bivol's a pound-for-pound fighter. Tank versus Mosley at 135, Big Neasy. Mosley all day. I like Tank. I think Tank, talent-wise, is an all-timer at 130. I think he's grown into lightweight, and I think he's peaking right now. I think he's an elite fighter, Tank. He's top 10 pound for pound. But Sugar Shane is like a top 3 lightweight all time. Like Roberto Duran, Pernell Whitaker, Sugar Shane Mosley. Even though Mosley didn't have the resume Duran and Whitaker had, but the eye test doesn't lie. Yeah, Sugar Shane would have beat Tank. Sugar Shane would have beat Tank. Longer arms, bigger man, who was able to knock out junior middleweights. Was on some PEDs, but whatever. I love Sugar Shane. So was Roy and Evander, and and Canelo at one point. And I'm not. Anyways, you guys are gonna get me to say it again, but I don't think Shane. I don't think might not have been on shit at lightweight. He was skinny at lightweight as compared to some of the fights like the De La Hoya rematch, where it turned out he was on the EPO for the De La Hoya, and you could tell just by looking at his body. I mean, hell, we got time. We're bullshitting here on FightHype Live. Let's take a look. So obvious that Shane did it for the rematch with Oscar. It was obvious, and then he admitted it on camera. But I mean, Shane, that picture doesn't even do it justice fully. There's a big difference between Shane and not a big difference. There's a difference between him in the first fight and the second fight, but maybe I could get to the weigh-in. As years have gone by, some of these photos have been harder to find. Shane always looked like that. But if you just go back, there was a certain size to Shane's back that night in the rematch with De La Hoya. You guys know, it's all hardcores in the chat, so you guys probably remember. But in that rematch with De La Hoya, he was yoked. But if we look at Shane Mosley at lightweight, he didn't look like that. Yeah, he was smaller, much smaller. Well, I mean, that makes sense. He was a lightweight, but maybe I could find a Shane Mosley, Philip Holiday, the night he won his belt. Yeah, look at his arm. Look at his arm, chat. Look at his arm. Big difference. But Shane was amazing in his peak. He was amazing. His peak was lightweight all the way through the last fight he won. I think it might have been Shannon Taylor before he fought Vernon Forrest, but after Vernon beat him, I mean, he still was great and still had some great moments. The Margarito one, most importantly, but never quite the same after Vernon. But yeah, he was great. He was great. So yeah, I would favor Shane. Sugar Shane in his prime over Tank all day at lightweight, for sure. Larry Liston said Jake been working with Memo, another one. I got love for Memo, but his background speaks for itself. It's suspicious. Victor Conti, Memo Heredia, Snack. I'm not going to name names. If you are not above suspicion if you are working with those guys. Doesn't mean you are guilty. This is America. You're supposed to have a second chance. But the word is suspicious, not guilty. Suspicious. It's suspicious if you're working with Memo and Conti. You guys do your research on who may or may not work with them. DL saying, Tay Day says, Sean, who's your top 10 right now in no order? Ward versus Canelo at 168. That's an easy one. Ward. Ward's a natural 68. Canelo's not. Yeah, just Ward. But Tay-Day, Sean, who's in your top 10 right now? No order. I appreciate no order. Yeah, Inoue, Crawford, Usyk, Bivol, Canelo, Haney, Stevenson, Tank, Jermell Charlo, probably Arthur Beterbiev. I'm leaving Fury off because he's 6'9", 270. He doesn't need pound for pound. So, off top, that would be Ward was trash, says Marcos Chaz. You're tripping, Marcos Chaz. Ward's a great fighter. Ward was never a star. I'm not saying he was Sugar Ray Leonard or Oscar De La Hoya at the box office or Mike Tyson, but the man could fight his ass off. He's arguably the greatest super middleweight of all time. It comes down to him, Roy Jones, or Joe Calzaghe. I put him at 3. I put Roy 1, Calzaghe 2, him in 3rd. Some people would have him at number 1. He has a more extensive resume than Roy. I'm going Roy number 1 because of eye test. I know what my fucking eyes see. And he beat James Toney when James Toney was 44-0 and number 1 pound for pound. That's as good a win as it gets. Fight wasn't even close. But you're tripping. Andre Ward was great. Weedy said Sean body shaming Fury. I'm not body shaming. The love handles. It's an inspiration to all of us normal men out there who aren't shredded. We love Tyson Fury. I miss covering him. I don't give a fuck if he worked with Daniel Kinahan. I just want to fucking cover him in America again. So no Tyson Fury hate here. By the way, let me quickly check Twitter to see if anyone took me out of context again today. No, thank God. We've survived. We've survived a FightHype Live so far. C6 Mark Contreras, thank you for the super chat, brother. Said, who would you put your money on, Shakur or Tank? Shakur. If you put a gun to my head, Shakur. Even though I think Tank is actually kind of more talented than Shakur. Shakur wasn't blessed with the punching power that Tank was, and Tank equals him in speed and in reflexes. He doesn't equal him in reflexes. But he equals him in coordination, dexterity, agility, hand speed, foot speed, and then he punches harder than Shakur. So I actually think he's more gifted than Shakur. But Shakur has a better IQ than Tank, even though Tank has a good IQ. But I think Shakur's is better. Shakur has a better jab than Tank. That's very important. We saw that Terrence said it was Shakur who told him to box against Spence. And the way Terrence used the southpaw jab was very Shakur Stevenson-like, because Terrence has always used the jab. He has always had a good jab, but he likes to use it to set up more than anything. And instead, he was using it authoritatively, throwing it with purpose to out-jab Spence, the jabber. And Tank doesn't use his jab a whole lot. Shakur has a better, more consistent jab than him. That's a big key in their fight. That's a great fight, Shakur and Tank, but I'll give the edge to Shakur because Tank doesn't throw a lot of punches, and Tank lately has been walking guys into shots. I haven't seen him have to go and get the other guy. Mario Barrios he did, but while cutting the distance, he let a lot of rounds go by without doing anything. And if he does with Shakur what he's done against a lot of these guys, which is give away rounds sometimes and know inevitably I'm making the right moves to set him up for a knockout at some point, he'll lose by decision. He's got to fight with more activity against Shakur Stevenson. So even though Tank is, I think, more in his prime than Shakur right now, and even though I think he's the more gifted fighter than Shakur with the better jab and a little bit better IQ, and the fact that Tank likes to wait and not throw a lot of punches per round, I think that would cost him against Shakur. I'll give the edge to Shakur, but Tank's actually got a little bit, maybe a little stronger resume. Neither guy has a great resume just yet. Shakur's best wins are Oscar Valdez, Jamel Herring. Tank's are Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia, Jose Pedraza, Isaac Cruz, Leo Santa Cruz. If you go by quantity, Tank's beating more names. He's beating more guys that we know about. than Shakur has. So Tank has a little bit better resume than Shakur. So, but we'll see. Unfortunately, in our minds is the only place it will happen for the foreseeable future. LBC says, Sean, why does Bud have more to do? He's 2-time undisputed, about to be 3-time. Hold on. Comparisons to Floyd are appropriate, and all Hall of Famers embrace. So I think comparisons to Floyd are fair. It's not blasphemous if you think Crawford could have beaten Mayweather at 147. He had the length and the power and the skills to keep up with Floyd and make it happen. I favor Mayweather, but yeah, that's not blasphemous or anything. I think you're referencing a comment I made earlier where I said that I would favor Crawford head-to-head over Manny Pacquiao. But to be Pacquiao, he still has a lot of work to do. 2-time undisputed is great. I mean, he's already a first ballot Hall of Famer, easily one of the great fighters of his generation, one of the top 5 140-pounders that ever lived. But, you know, an all-time great welterweight who's won every fight in a title fight at welterweight by knockout. All his fights at welterweight have been title fights, and he's won all of them by knockout. I think that's a very special distinction he carries in his welterweight run. But, you know, there's levels to this. As great as he is, he's not Floyd or Manny just yet. He's not. Those guys beat a lot more Hall of Famers than him. Those guys beat a lot more Hall of Famers than him. A lot. You know, go check the box rec. You know already. So that's all I mean by that. Those guys, and yeah, you could say, well, this guy was at this age, this guy was at that age, but the sheer amount of Hall of Famers that Manny and Floyd beat is astounding. And Terrence has a lot of catching up to do that. I mean, who are the Hall of Famers Terrence has beaten? Is Errol Spence a Hall of Famer? Is Yuriorkis Gamboa a Hall of Famer? Is he? You know, so, yeah. I had a super chat asking me, Morrell Jr. versus Plant, who you got? I got Morrell. Morrell's green, and that could cost him against Plant. From what I talked to Nico Ali Walsh earlier today. Interview will be up on the channel at some point. Nico Ali tells me he sparred Caleb before Benavidez, and he sparred him in the last couple weeks, obviously, after Benavidez. And he said, same Caleb. Nothing's changed. He's still 100% after the punishment he took down the stretch against Benavidez. We'll see if that's the case. If that's the case, you know, it's a tricky fight early for David Morrell. But David Morrell has good feet like Caleb does, much better puncher than Caleb. And I think Morrell has got next at 168. You know, he's just got to wait his turn a little bit right now and build his name up to a proper level to where he gets to fight those guys. I don't think Plant would want to get in the ring with him unless it's for a lot of money, and Morrell isn't capable of bringing that kind of money to him right now. But Charles, I would favor Morrell. I would favor the young bull, the better puncher, over Plant. Now I'm not. You guys. Marcos Chaz says Errol was a hype job. No, Errol's very good welterweight in his day. His peak came too quickly. His peak was the Kell Brook fight through the Mikey Garcia fight. Already by the Sean Porter fight, he began to have some lifestyle habits that I think began to affect him in the ring. And then the car accident happens, and he does this thing against Danny and Ugas, but he never would have beat Crawford. He never would have had an answer for that counterpunching over the long term of their fight. But I do think Errol Spence is a much better than he showed against Crawford. He and his team inadvertently aged themselves out by delaying the Crawford fight, by not making that fight happen when Crawford was with Top Rank. In the end, they made a lot more money because of that. But it greatly reduced Errol's competitive chances in the fight, because by the, you know, between weight and inactivity and other things, Spence did not look like the guy who beat up Kell Brook and beat up Mikey Garcia, Carlos Ocampo, and Lamont Peterson. But, you know, that's him and his team's fault. So it is what it is. because of Michael S. says, just because of how they promoted Errol, like the big bad wolf and was invincible. Well, that all started when he gave Mayweather a black eye, and then Floyd put him over with it, and that got him on the map, you know. And since then, he's had his fans who feel like, you know, like my man Ben said years ago, Spencer die, you know. So let's see, but yeah, chat. Looks like we're starting to round out for the day. Again, it sucks that we started with technical difficulties, man, on my Charlo Canelo breakdown. But you guys have made it fun for the last hour. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we get out of here? Otherwise, it's been fun, just kind of trailing off and talking boxing with everybody. Tay-Day, thoughts on Haney versus Regis? I got Haney. Regis didn't look good in his last fight. I think Haney's going to be better at 140 pounds. At 24, he's still getting better. He'll have learned things from Lomachenko. It's not the best look that he's not going to rematch Loma at 35, and that he kind of made Shakur called it like a pump fake. I mean, it's a legit offer. It's 25%. Take it or leave it. I get it. But it's like, he's not going to take that. He's not going to take that. And that's on him. I get it. But and it's a good PR move. But you're not really giving him 25% in hopes of fighting him. And that's fine, because Devin's days at lightweight are done. He can't make that weight anymore. He's bigger than them. He's bigger than Tank. He's bigger than Shakur. He's a bigger man. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. And it's a hell of a first fight at 140. You fight for the green belt, the glamour belt, not the lineal title. That belongs to Tio. But I think he beats Regis. I know it was the southpaw that gave Regis problems, but the movement and the ranginess of Danielito Zorrilla gave him fits. What's the movement and the ranginess of Devin Haney going to do? I got Haney all day. Regis will probably be sharper than he was for Zorrilla, but I got Devin. I'm expecting Devin to look good at 140. Tiafimo versus Haney. Now that's the fight. Now that's the real order of business for Mr. Devin Haney at 140. Is after he gets pro Grace, he'll be a free agent again. He's only doing one fight with Hearn. Go back to Top Rank. Fight Lopez. If you can beat Lopez, and it's a big if, it's not a gimme, but if you can beat Lopez, who does struggle with boxers more than he does aggressive fighters, then you'll be the man. You'll be the unified man at 140, two-time unified man, and then you got a lot more leverage as opposed to killing yourself at 135 to fight Stevenson or to fight Tank. And if you fight Tank, you gotta take the shit end of the stick a little bit in negotiations because he's the big A side. But if by the time you're done beating Prograis and Tio and becoming a two-time champ at 140, and Tio will be a pay-per-view fight if it happens, and it will draw. It may not draw like Ryan and Tank, but it'll draw. And they will talk shit in the press conference, and that fight will be built up by the time it happens. And if he can get past that fight, he's entitled to a lot more than just 20% or so against Tank, and he could tell Tank, let's do it at 140, and the fans will be on his side about it. Now, the fans being on your side doesn't typically move Leonard Ellerbe and Tank Davis to do anything, but the fans being on your side at the box office, showing up, buying your pay-per-view, that gives him more leverage at the table with Tank, and he can fight him at a weight he's actually comfortable at. Same with Shakur. Fight him at a weight you're actually comfortable at. Take advantage of being the bigger man against those guys. It doesn't matter if you're the bigger man, but you're sucking down in weight to where they're comfortable. Your size advantage works for you when you're comfortable and strong at a weight. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Devin. But I do think he beats Prograis. Keyshawn Davis or Frank Martin? Give the edge to Davis. That thoroughbred background. He's been fighting since he was a little boy. Martin started at 18. That could catch up to him against a kid like Davis. But then again, man, Frank Martin's a grown-ass man, and Keyshawn got those skinny legs. He's still growing into his professional style and frame. And Frank Martin's really good. People a little too harsh on his last performance. Frank Martin can move, can punch, good defense, smart fighter, physically strong. So Martin's still a problem at lightweight. Still a problem. But I maybe give the edge to Keyshawn based on what I said earlier. C6 Mark Contreras. Haney or Tio, Sean? I'll give the edge to Haney. Like I said, Tio tends to do better with guys that come to him and let him be the counterpuncher than if he has to cut the ring off and go and get you. When Kambosos gave him movement and didn't just come right to him, it gave him problems. Nakatani, by being tall and forcing Tio to stay on the outside with his length, gave Tio problems. Sandor Martin, staying on the outside, boxing, not letting Tio be the counterpuncher but making him have to be on the front foot and cut distance, gave him problems. Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, aggressive southpaws, that's what Tio likes. Tio likes a guy coming to him where he could be the counterpuncher. Devin is not going to let him do that, and he struggled to fight on the front foot and cut the distance and cut the ring off and things like that. He struggled in that phase of his game and style, so I would give the edge to Haney. You know, styles make fights to a degree. So Usyk versus Wilder, that's a tightrope act for Usyk, kind of like the Luis Ortiz fight, another southpaw who was able to step around Wilder and give him angles and hit him repeatedly. But Wilder, at that time, his punch resistance was good enough to hold up to that for several rounds until he landed that one shot he needed. That could very well be the case with Usyk, but he didn't get hit against Elenius. We don't know if Wilder has a chin anymore after Fury knocked him out in the third fight. So I don't know if he still has the ability to take that punishment for 5, 6, 7 rounds like he did against Ortiz in the rematch and then land that bomb. If he can, then he could still get Usyk out of there. The southpaw killer is always the straight right hand anyways. So he could do it. But if his punch resistance isn't the same, he could get stopped by Usyk. And it's a tightrope act for Usyk. I have no doubt he'll be winning round after round. But although Malik Scott, we'll see if he's got Wilder tougher to win rounds against now. But I have no doubt he would win round against round, but he only needs to get caught once, like Ortiz did. So that fight would be a tightrope act for Alexander Usyk. But chat, I think that's about it for now, man. We're closing in on 100 minutes. Thank you guys for joining in on the chat. I hope everyone enjoyed the boxing talk. I will be back Monday with the Z-Cap. Actually, since there's no big fights, there's no round by round for us this Saturday that we'll be doing. We do got some round by rounds coming up. I'll be doing them live here on FightHype. Otherwise, this weekend is actually the NFL for me. I got to go to LA to see the Raiders play the Rams in the preseason. It's just preseason, but it's still fun to see how some rookies are doing and other things like that. Maybe Jimmy G's got to get some snaps in before the regular season, so maybe Jimmy G throws the ball a little bit. But yeah, keep it locked in. And Blind Faith, thank you for the super chat. Says, salute, Sean. I got my cookies gravity bong. I'll be on the same wavelength as you as soon as this live's over. I'll be doing the same shit, brother. I interviewed Xander Zayas. Actually, I can't, Blind Faith, because I have an interview with Xander Zayas. I'm going to pretend I have a watch at 2:45. So I got Xander Zayas at 2:45. Be on the lookout for that interview, chat. And outside of that, man, you guys have a blessed, great day, rest of the day. Thank you, Tay Day. Tay Day said, great stream as always. You guys have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week, and God bless all of you guys. Thanks for sticking out today through the technical difficulties, and I'll shadow box our way out as always. Oh, I can do it.